Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business News Afternoon Report for Friday the 12th of July 2024. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 hit a record high of 7,696 points today after jumping 1% on opening before paring the gains to close up 0.9%. The final close was 7,959 points. It was the highest close ever. Shares in Commonwealth Bank rose again, this time to a record high of $131.60, pushing its market value to $220 billion. Now, BHP went backwards slightly, and as of this afternoon, the Commonwealth Bank is now the largest company on the ASX, just pipping BHP. The banks did well, as did Wesfarmers, CSL, Transurban and Aristocrat Leisure. Triggering the rally was data out overnight from the US, which shows inflation slowing sharply in the world's biggest economy. The annual inflation rate fell to 3% in June, the lowest in a year and below forecasts. That added to the argument that the US Federal Reserve will cut rates in coming months, helping local equities and the Aussie dollar, which is heading into the weekend trading around 67.7 US cents. It was very much the interest rate sensitive stocks that did best today. Among the sectors, the real estate and consumer discretionary stocks performed best. Online property group Domain Holdings and REITs, Charter Hall and GPT were among the top performers. The worst were the tech stocks. Computershare, WiseTech Global and NextDC were among the worst performers of the top 200. Story number 2, US President Joe Biden has had another very uncomfortable 24 hours, calling his number 2, Kamala Harris, Vice President Trump. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, President Putin. Watching Joe Biden gaffes has become a bit of a sport, which isn't good given he is running for president again in November. Mr. Biden has vowed to stay in the presidential race and defended his fitness for office. He gave a 40-minute press conference this morning, Australian time, where he showed a very strong grasp of foreign policy in the just completed NATO conference. He also said he's the most qualified person to run for office and he wants to complete the job he started. But the reference to Vice President Trump, not Harris, is what will be remembered most about that press conference. The Democrats' National Conference is a month away, which is the deadline for replacing Mr. Biden. Story number 3, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese today said Australia's intelligence agencies are among the best in the world after it was revealed a Russian-born couple have been accused of providing secret defence material to the Russian government. The case involves a woman employed as an information system technician with the Australian Army and her husband. The Russian couple are accused of gathering intelligence over more than 18 months. The Prime Minister said the fact that they were caught shows security agencies are operating effectively. The male, Igor Korolev, briefly appeared in a Brisbane court this morning where bail was formally refused. His wife, Kira, did not appear. She's accused of preparing to provide secret Australian national security information to the intelligence service of the government of the Russian Federation. Story number 4, BHP will mothball its nickel mines in Western Australia, hitting hundreds of employees as well as operations at other miners in the region. BHP announced the suspension last night and foreshadowed an underlying full-year loss on nickel of $450 million. It blamed a global oversupply of nickel that comes from Chinese-backed producers mining in Indonesia. BHP said it will try and find jobs for as many workers as possible. Now, the nickel business has been losing about $50 million a month. Earlier in the year, BHP wrote down the value of the business by $5.4 billion. The big Australian has invested about $4.4 billion in the nickel business since 2020, but those falling global nickel prices have done all the damage. They've gone from about $25,000 a tonne 18 months ago to about $16,000 or $17,000 a tonne today. Following the announcement, rare earths miner Lynas said BHP's suspension would hit the supply of sulfuric acid needed for Lynas's new $800 million processing plant. Now, sulfuric acid is a byproduct of nickel smelting, so that hit Lynas's share price. Plenty of fallout there. And story number 5, the largest shareholder of Regional Express, Rex, the airline, is pushing to kick out the carrier's entire board just 1 month after he stepped down as the company's executive chair. Lim Kim Hui, a Singaporean businessman, had run the regional carrier until June when he abruptly left the board and handed day-to-day management to the airline's chief operating officer, Neville Howell. Mr. Lim and his then business partner, Lee Than Soo, became shareholders in 2002 after Rex emerged from the collapse of Ansett, which had operated 2 regional carriers. Rex today told investors that Mr. Lim had called for a shareholder meeting to remove Mr. Lee and the airline's new chair, former Federal Transport Minister John Sharp. That's according to the Financial Review. The only director Mr Lim does not want to remove is the nominee of PAG Asset Capital, which is the big private equity firm that's provided about $150 million in funding to the airline. But he wants to get rid of the rest. Plenty to go on that story. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday the 12th of July 2024. Michael Thompson and Lang and I will be back tomorrow morning with the weekend edition of Fear and Greed Business News. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.